My name is Richie Breaux, and you're watching Influencing Entrepreneurs by Casimir Ward.
After years of teaching entrepreneurship and consulting business owners, I realized that true knowledge comes from the wins and losses of those entrepreneurs. These are the stories of those business leaders. I'm Casimir Ward, and this is Influencing Entrepreneurs.
Well, today we are here with Richie Breaux. He is an entrepreneur, an owner of a construction company in Hawaii, and the author of the book, A Builder of All Things, as well as the host of the podcast, A Builder of All Things. Richie, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Cass. It was so good talking to you offline right before we got on. I love this. I can't wait and just be a servant to whatever I can to anybody out there.
Well, no, and I really appreciate that. And while we're going to talk a lot about your entrepreneurial journey, you were sharing with me that you started in the military, ended up stationed at Pearl Harbor. Sounds like you never left. And did you go straight into contracting?
Yeah, you summarized my little journey there. I was born and raised in Illinois in a city south of Chicago named Peoria, plain lands, cornfields, but it was second city to Illinois. So a little bit of urbanness there, but just from 13 years old, detasseling corn to painting houses in the summers, just a hardworking kid, and played football and sports and just got that team camaraderie and just, loved it. And I actually went to play college football for 1 year and just
Where at?
in Lake Forest, north of Chicago, literally like the same city Michael Jordan's home is, with the famous 23 on his driveway, walking by, being inspired as a kid. But played there for a year and just didn't have the guidance. Grew up, had two house fires growing up. So I grew up not having the resources from family or anything. So
Literal house fires?
literal house fires. So when I was 3, total blaze. I actually set the fire. I was just a kid in the bedroom playing with the old 1980 space heater, and it was orange and, bright, and little kid just putting a book in it, seeing what happens, and it caught flame. It hit a curtain, which old 1980, fabric back then probably had so many different chemicals and poisons. It lit the whole room, and it was bad. I smoke inhalation, basically passed out and died on the way to the hospial, was revived.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was probably scary for my mother more than anything.
I can only imagine. I just don't want to overlook this, but let's just talk about your journey from college to military. The decision to go to the military because college and football is too demanding. Military is pretty damn demanding. Like, what was the thought process there?
And as the 19-year-old kid, Cass, they know how to woo you, So I was a kid in my basement, still trying to figure out, okay, what's my next move? The college, I got help. I got, lost my scholarship for this semester. I got to get it back. What's my next move? And then the military calls for my younger brother, and I pick up the phone, and they're, hey, is your brother Matt there? And I was like, no, he's not here. And they're like, oh, who are you? How old are you? And then start asking they basically knew, oh, we got a candidate, right? And so after that, I invited them to my house. They sat down. They told me they're going to pay for my school. They showed up in their uniforms. They looked good, and showed me I'll get food. I mean, it just wooed the heck out of me, honestly, Cass.
Yeah.
And ironically, it was the Marines that came, but I eventually, like, when I started doing my research, I felt like the Navy was a better fit for me, just traveling the world. And honestly, this is so silly, but the colors.
Yeah. All
like
right.
They had this like navy blue color compared to their color in the suits. So I made some.
You want to look good?
Yeah, I wanted to look good. So they wooed me, and the school, traveling. But what I didn't sign up for, which eventually happened, was a war. I signed up in 2000, and 2001 was 9/11. So that was why I didn't stay in I served my time, but then when I got out, I wanted to get into something, especially being in Hawaii and taking advantage.
So you served your time in the military. It's you're coming out. You decide to set up base in Oahu. What better place to live? Do you go straight and get a job? Like, what's the first thing you get into?
Yeah, I got real. So just to not skip a little step, when I got out of the military, you get this one free ticket to go back home.
All right.
So I took advantage of it, went back to Peoria, and I got immediately into construction. And it was just by some guy coming to me and say, "Hey, you look like a big kid, 6'2", 230 pounds. Do you want to get into the construction world?" And I was like, "Or do you want to be a carpenter?" And like, I was so ignorant, Cass. I thought a carpenter was somebody who worked on carpet. Like that whole world was like, I was just so dumb to it and ignorant to it. I just I didn't know. I didn't ever go to Home Depot. I did. That's just not the stores I went to. I went to Sports Authority. Those are like my big chain stores at the time. So I was just like, yeah, I can use a job, and they're paying 15 an hour. I did painting and detasseling, so I'm not scared of the labor force. I did paint houses.
And are you just doing pickup jobs, or are you part of a crew?
Legit company? This is a legit Legacy Homes is the name of the company, and they build multiple custom homes that are prefabricated, but they're custom. And so they just do multiple homes. And so it was a great opportunity. I show up to the job site, Cass, and it was like mind blowing to me seeing a house fully framed, no siding yet, no roof, just 10, 15 guys working. And I'm just like, oh man, this is so cool. I didn't understand the world, but the owner of the company really picked up, really liked me and grew a liking to me, and took me to Home Depot, bought me a whole bunch of tools, said everything that I brought from my mom's Easter basket wasn't going to work. He was a good fun learning from this guy. But after a year being there, and Tiffany, my wife, actually moved to Illinois for a year, God bless her heart, going through one winter as a Hawaiian. But we ended up she got pregnant with my daughter, and we decided together we wanted to raise our kids in Hawaii. And what I found out is they have this amazing carpenter apprenticeship program in Hawaii, where you can work 40 hours and go to school at the same time. So I said, man, I want to learn this, because when I was at the job site in Illinois, there's this 25-year-old kid who was bossing everyone around. When I say boss, I don't mean like, he would just literally pull out the plans on the table, and he would tell everybody like what's going on for the day, lay them out, cut this 45 pieces at this amount. And all the other guys in their 40s and 50s. And I went up to him, I'm like, dude, we're like almost the same age. Like, how are you the lead, the superintendent job? He's like, I went to school. These guys didn't. They just been working, since they're whatever. But I actually went to an apprenticeship program, go to school. You learn how to read blueprints. And so that planted that seed in me. Like, man, they got schools for this. Like, I didn't even like, obviously now I look back, there's tons of vocational schools, trade schools, but as that young kid, I didn't know yet. And so when I found out that Hawaii had this like amazing program, I was like, okay, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what.
So you're now making a choice to go into a program where you got to work your butt off all day and then go to school. Sounds familiar. Like
it does.
It's exactly what you left at the university. How is this one different?
Yeah, you nailed it. I think what changed was a couple things. Was I wasn't in, young kid, trying to fit myself in college, and still trying to understand. I was now.
And the distractions in college.
I had the discipline of the military. We're talking 4 years military disciplinary. Like, I'm working 12-hour days. You got to learn different programs, certifications. And it was like forced on me. Like, you're not going anywhere. You don't lose your scholarship in the military. You have no choice. So it's a little different animal, but it basically groomed me. Like, I came out of force now, right? Like, it didn't scare me. That's easy. Let's go. And so it did. It took 4 years of that military discipline to really shape me to handle that. And that's what I probably should have treated high school like, a preparation for college. I just didn't have that counseling at the time, right? I was saying, okay, I'm going through high school with this preparation for college versus just going through high school as a kid who just skimming through, right? And so here I am, military, got all this disciplinary, flow, and I got a kid on the way. I have, my wife, and so it's a different space as well, and a little bit more mature mind, being 24, 25 years old. So I'd put my head down. I knew, put in my hours, during the week, make sure I shine at work. And then when it comes to the classes, go and make sure I sit in the front, drink coffee and try to learn. But I was interested in this. It's different, when you go to a high school and you got these like, African-American literature, very interesting, but like, I don't know where I'm gonna use that in my life. I got calculus, right, class in my freshman year. And I'm like, I'm good at math, but man, it's like, how do I like Where is
Yeah.
this going to be used in my life? And so this, like when I'm learning the blueprints, I know exactly, it was so like specific to my
It was
trade, right?
applicable. Yeah.
Very applicable, right? It
Yeah.
was in the math classes was carpentry math. So we're learning the trigonometry that ties into what you're building. So it was all connected, which was
Yeah.
very interesting to me. And I could see it in real time when I go out in the field. And so that was just a game changer for me. But yeah, 4-year apprenticeship, 4.5, and went through full time and got my journeyman license, and got to really great experience, Cass, doing that.
Excellent. So you get into this program. How long do you stay in the world of carpentry?
That's a great question. Not long. It was, I mean, gosh, 2 or 3 more years. So what happened was one of those anomalies where I got hurt really bad. I fell off I actually jumped. I had to jump, and then my ankle hit the ground, twisted it, and I was out for about 6 months on workman's comp. But while I'm sitting there at home for like 3 months letting it heal, I get a call from the owner of this commercial company that I've been working with for this full time, so far to date, and they asked me, hey, we saw you have administration experience in the military, because that's what I did. I was in the office. I worked in the administration. They're like, hey, we need some help in our construction office with the project managers. And so yeah, I'll love it. I love any experience I can get. So I said, I'm on board. I got a boot on, on my ankle, and I'll limp in, but I will definitely sit in. And then the project manager that I was assisting and sitting under, this is where the like crazy shift happens in the pivot. He quits. And in the madness of him quitting after 2 weeks of me assisting him, I was listening, I was learning, and I understood the administration part of the construction world. It just connected dots with me. And when he quit, the vice president, president, and everyone kind of had an office panic, because project managers are the historian of projects, right? They understand a lot of information that if you just disappear off the planet of the earth, it kind of leaves this whole project in limbo of trying to figure it out. And it can just go like sideways quick. So I step in, Cass, and, I volunteer to run it. I understand how all the things are connected. And I was the only one that had the information passed to me that he was sharing during these 2 weeks I was with him. And that was the moment everything shifted. I became a project manager, and I never went back to carpentry.
So how does that lead into your entrepreneurial journey?
2008 was the year that America got hit in my market. The construction market hit really hard, hit really hard based on the housing crash, and just construction altogether just kind of hit a halt in Hawaii. It was about 2009, 2010. We really felt the aftermath of that. And so the company I was with just started laying everybody off one by one, and I seen it. I was probably one of the last in the top 10 when the company had 100, and finally I got laid off, Cass. And in my heart, I was ready to serve them for life. I was good. Yeah, I was happy with my position. I loved the work, and but I got laid off. And during that time, I had to put my belt back on, go get some side jobs, is what we call them, where friend or family, somebody says, hey, can you do my kitchen or my bath? And just started doing stuff like that. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I was having fun, but in my mind, I had 4 kids. I had to take the job if it came back, but I was just doing kitchen and baths, and just having a lot of fun. Is very easy. Coming from the commercial level of high-end work that we were doing, so there was a sense of just, I don't know, it was easy, and I enjoyed it and just having fun. And so the day came, Cass, when I got the call back, right? Like, hey,
Right.
It's November, and in February, 4 months from now, we got a huge project starting back up. We need you back on. We'll be ready to rock and roll. And it was just right before they called, me and my wife are already contemplating starting this new company, because, and I don't want to skip this part, it was fun, it was easy, but we noticed a need in the market. Like we noticed that in the residential space of construction, because this was new to me based on, I was doing all this commercial work, high-end banks, architectural
Yeah.
offices, I was doing this high-end stuff. First time touching the residential market in Hawaii. And I realized there's almost a cry of the people. There's a cry of the
Yeah.
clients saying people don't show up, they do horrible work. They don't know what they're doing. They come in bid low, then they do tons of change orders. There's no expectations are managed. People actually, there's this big fraud that was happening where on Craigslist, or it was Craigslist at the time. And basically you go, you get a contractor, they come, they give you a bid. They were, big renovation, 80,000. They'll take 25,000 down payment, come in, demo your whole house, get the next 20 grand and then disappear. And then you look up their company name, license, they use somebody else. So it was a thing.
Oh.
So there was a need for a construction company, a residential construction company that just answered their phone, showed up on time, did good work, and had a very good price.
Which you would say should be a standard,
normal
right?
standard, right?
And you're probably already outperforming 80 to 90% of the businesses just by doing that.
You nailed it. Now, so we did a little research online, and we realized, like, wow, this is an open market. And this is our heart. We could serve this well. Like, it's not like we're pretending we're already doing this normally, right? Just by military, by my faith, by the work I'm just coming out of. Like, I can fit this need and bring maybe healing to the market and try to maybe change it, like I seen in my construction company, just by having that empathy, if I can share that same empathy with the client, there can be some kind of change even with vendors, ourselves, and see if we can shift this market. So that's not the residential construction norm, here. So we had this idea and this to feel and feed and serve a need, and that was where our company, All Things New, birthed. And All Things New was bringing something new that the island hasn't seen yet, and be on the construction side too, doing everything. Anything in the house you can do, all things. So we were getting ready to start that company, and we got that call to go back. And me and my wife were like, it was a really hard decision, because we still were, I didn't come from a background where I had resources to call uncle, mom, or dad, or anybody, for any kind of money to start a company. Number one, we were still 4 kids, just barely paying the bills. I've been laid off. So there's just a lot of factors there that were against us to even think about starting a company, and I have never ran a company or started one before. So being an entrepreneur wasn't even a word I can pronounce back then. It was.
So what gets you to commit?
Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of just prayer, and we basically came up with this decision. I needed some kind of some kind of sign, from God or whatever it is. I need a sign. And we know, I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's not like God's going to break through the clouds and say, Richie,
Yeah. you got a sign. What was it? You obviously must have gotten a sign.
Yeah, we did get a sign. So when the phone call came, I needed a clear sign. We were doing this praying and stuff. And I was getting ready to answer the phone. I had my little cell phone back then, and my wife looked at me, and I looked at her, and she was like, "Did you get your sign?" Kind of like jokingly. And I was just like, "No, I didn't get a sign." I mean, I didn't. Yeah. There's nothing confirmed, right? And so I answered the phone, and the superintendent who was calling me to come back said, "Look, Richie, man, don't come back. They're going to hire you for 2 months and lay you off. I found out what's happening with this company. They're going to sub out all their work, all the workers, the project managers. They just need you for a quick time. And it's just to get you in, get you out. They're changing the whole system." He said, "I actually got in an argument with the owner because I was fighting for all our jobs, and I ended up quitting." So he just told me, dude, just go do whatever you're going to do. Find another job.
Yeah.
And we got off the phone. I looked at my wife. I said, "I think I got a sign."
Yeah. Nothing clear there. So you decide right then to start the company. What's your name? That's the funnest part of it.
Yeah. All Things New. So we launched it. Yeah. All Things New. We launched it January 2012. I had a beat up truck, and one guy I found to join, his name was David, to join forces with me, not as a partner, but just come work and put my belt back on. And both of us just started, and just went out. I had a couple jobs that were lined up that would commit if I started the company, and we started there. And from there, that was the beginning, and I can't wait to share what's next.
Well, I was going to say, I got to ask, in that first year, what does business look like? Are you knocking $1 million or $2 million out a year in revenue, or are you
I'm
just
gonna love
scraping by?
sharing this. Yeah, I'm gonna love sharing this. Revenue 35,000 first year. It was horrible.
Okay. Yeah.
It was horrible. It was and out of that I wasn't getting paid much either. And so it was challenging. First 3 years was challenging, but I kept doubling revenue, Cass. So second year I hit 70, and the next year I hit 140. But I kept serving. I kept, I was a good price. I was learning how to price that market and grow into it. And it was hard. My wife had to go back to work. So she was working full time, and then we got the kids, and now here I am playing company, but I'm making sure I'm diligent, and I'm recording everything that we do with QuickBooks, and I'm learning as I'm going. And so, second year we hit I think about 150 in revenue. And then, that was year 3. Sorry, year 4, I partnered with another company to help cash flow, because we started getting some bigger projects, and I realized I'm not going to have the cash flow for these, and just getting the down payments wasn't enough. And I wanted to create and establish a company that could be trusted and not get eager and ask for more money up front, because I couldn't afford the cash flow. So I was talking with the client saying, hey, I'm a partner with the company for, the next year. And so we did a year of partnership, and I got about 350K revenue. And then we realized now the traction started coming, Cass. So this is year 4. It wasn't year 1. It wasn't the first 6 months. It was year 4. The growth is happening, but the wheels are turning. When I say the wheels are turning, that's the traction, and they're spinning faster. I'm starting to understand flow. I'm understanding, like, okay, we have 3 guys working now. I got to have somebody answer the phone. I'm wearing multiple hats.
Now you need a staff. You need support.
Yeah. So when we started hitting like close to $500,000, I realized, okay, I'm wearing multiple hats. Yeah, I'm wearing multiple hats, and I can't do this. Like, in order to grow, I'm capped out being the carpenter, the superintendent, the project manager, the finance officer, the guy answering the phone, sales, and I'm marketing. I'm posting everything on Instagram or Facebook at the time. I'm getting tons of 5-star reviews on Yelp, which was huge. That was really like changing. Like, people were calling a lot now. Like, hey, you're the only company I see with 15 5 stars. Like, that's unrare, and that's rare in Hawaii, right?
And at the bare minimum, you're just doing the basics of the job, returning calls.
What they would say. That's what they would say. He actually shows up.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they would say.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I use that example a lot in the classroom, that I'm like, there are things that, you compete on that you shouldn't be competing on, because they should be standard. I always like to call, everybody's got a magic trick, and that's your magic trick. Just the fact that you're like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to help you with your problem, I'm going to take you where you need to be. Like, that's just part of it. So
we established a why at the beginning, and we made sure we never lost that. And our why was to establish a new standard of excellence.
Yeah.
And so we try to inject excellence. We had to define what that means to us, and how do we operate in excellence at all levels, right? In our marketing, to putting our even our website, we didn't want it to be cookie cutter. We wanted to operate in excellence at every level. And so we were just jumping ahead of our competition. The separation was like super noticeable, right? And so even we were setting a standard. Like, people started like following the way we were doing websites or what we were posting on Instagram. So the traction was there, and it was working. Yeah. And so everything was it started connecting, right? And rolling. Yeah. And what changed was I realized, okay, where does this cap out at, right? And
I've already done the math. So you said you doubled every year, and it's been about 15 years.
Yeah. Well, we doubled every year until about, I think, 2022 or 23. We still grew, but we didn't double anymore, but we were doubling up to that point, which was, it was Yeah, do the math. It was growing
I've
really.
done. I was going to ask, are you at
Yeah, we're an 8-figure.
570 million
Yeah,
in revenue?
we're an 8-figure company. Yeah, so it's
Excellent.
yeah, it grew, and so what I realized, okay, where is the next, like, how do you build houses versus just renovating a kitchen and bathroom? And you
Yeah.
need a license, you need this amount of capital, you need certain things in place, right? And so, okay, I told my wife, I like, we need this license, this specific license to say we can do everything. We're all things new, but we can't do actually all, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to go for this license. So I believe it's going to open a whole new door for us. Put in the work. 10 months later, we got the license. So 2016, we launched as ATN Construction, which was all things new. And now we're serving, any and all, like commercial, still residential markets, our main focus, but we're an open door and to see where our niche is.
And the economy's starting to like there's more opportunities there.
Yeah. We were, placed as a ripple effect at the right time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
2012 was the perfect time to plant a company. You wouldn't see that, but yeah, it just started growing at a super fast rate.
And that's where you're mistaken. Like usually in those downturns where everything goes, that's where the next big thing starts. People forget that during in that, 2008 to 12 period, that's when Uber started up. That's when Facebook took off. That's like, you don't realize how much of that came, from that time period. So listen, we could, being an owner of an engineering company and we specialize in residential, I could talk about this for hours and we could complain about a bevy of things, but let's talk about you a little bit more beyond contractor. You take the next step in your journey into podcasting and writing a book. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, when COVID happened in the next 3 years, we just catapulted in projects. We had an opportunity of a $2 million renovation. We smashed it 6 months, got in the front of all the magazines, was award winning nationally. We started hitting the Inc. 5000 fastest growing construction companies in the nation, top 50, and just growing really fast, hitting different revenues, started getting $7 million homes versus, so these homes started growing in size, right? Just dramatically, and just still operating at that same level. Our team started growing, the operations, we started getting 3 locations on island, and a lot of people were coming, man, I remember you guys were like the grassroots company, you and Dave with the green truck, and just following on Instagram, a lot of the locals here just loving the journey because they knew me as the guy coming in with just 2 guys, and they've been following us for the past decade and just watching the homes and can't believe, right, what we're doing now. We ended up renovating Zach Levine's home in South Carolina for it sold for 34 million, but our project size was $5 million renovation. Highest.
So you're doing all the work, you not only just with
California.
it. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. So we're growing. And so I share all that to say is like, okay, I want to be able to share. It's easy to say the surface side or in an hour kind of sharing this part of, hey, how did you guys get there? But I wanted to share the meat of it, the ups and downs, because there's a lot of, the higher you climb a mountain, if you trip on a rock, man, sometimes those stumbles and falls are like hard, and I wanted to share and be vulnerable enough to say, yeah, it's not an easy ticket, like plane ticket.
Yeah.
There's a lot of turbulence. You will get to your destination, but there's definitely turbulence. But how do I get through those? How do we wrestle through those? How do we, guide on the course when there's rocks in the stream? And so that's where the podcast started. We started a podcast 2021. We're award winning. And I just wanted to share behind the scenes, not the 7 steps to become an 8-figure company, but hey, the 7 steps how to step over these rocks. And so it was more of a battling adversity, a military approach to sharing business, was saying, hey, there's adversity out there. And if you're going to start with minimal gear or however you start, this is what we've learned along the way. And so we started sharing that into a podcast where I had our marketing content director, he'd get on there, and myself, and we would just talk business and construction, that started growing some really fast traction, especially COVID. It was like full force 2021. And after about 12 episodes, I was just like, man, there's something birthing here. And so I ended up writing a book that just released, Cass, on this past Tuesday, or I shouldn't say Tuesday, but June 24th, Tuesday. So it just released on Amazon, all digitally. We got physical books. So it was really exciting just being able to put something in a book, a memoir of the journey in the past 12 years with me and my wife and running this company, and just sharing those battle adversities that we've faced and how we got through them and how we've gotten to where we are and sustained it.
That is excellent. So tell me a little bit, like, you've kind of made the journey from quarterback to coach to head owner of the team. How comfortable or uncomfortable do you feel in all the role you play now, as opposed to being the quarterback or the coach?
I'm built for it. I believe each person is, I call it parenting from Earth or from the planet or from God. Just like everything you go through in your life and journey, there's a parenting happening. You go through struggles, you overcome them. And I believe whatever path you take, it's like the desires that are in you, the way you're built, the way you can handle things just starts growing in you. And I think there's certain things you're called in for a purpose. And I felt like this is it for me. Like I felt like it was like a design set for me to get in this place, to be here as this owner. And, I didn't desire to be an owner. I desire to fill a need, right, and serve it. And I think that's the game changer. I'm not the boss man. I'm just a guy and my wife that just really wanted to serve a market. And we worked really hard to like the needs, and the needs change over time, right? And so as we grew, or as we went through a different, like into this luxury market, how do we serve this need? And now that the permits are like a disaster, the heart kind of shifts again. All right, how are we going to serve this now and propel something that can, change the game here on the island? And, with everybody, there's a big number. I think it's like 30-40% of people on the island are starting to move away, go to Vegas, go to California. It's just getting too expensive. And so there's a new need there, that's arising that we want to serve. Like, how do we keep people here, and not leave? And especially with kids being married and grandkids now, there's a force to produce this diamond, this new Uber, this new, Airbnb type of business coming out. And we have something that's coming out that's going to hopefully change and root the people here on the island. So we're super excited about it.
Anything you want to tease us with or share?
Sure. Yeah, you'd probably be the first teaser, but we realized on the island, it's an untapped market for ADUs. They tried to push it in 2015. And the only way for people to actually stay on the island, because it's so dense and everyone's so close together, is to share land. That's the only option we have. And so they tried to push ADUs in 2015. There's a 75,000 a house market, meaning there's 75,000 houses that can qualify for an ADU. And they've only built 800 since then. It's just an untapped market. So we started with this accelerated program of educating like all the different players. We're working with a specific bank to come out with a product that can serve this. So we're coming out with an app that's going to launch called We Stay. It's a local term, like we're not going anywhere.
All right, I like it.
Yeah, it's called We Stay, and it's going to connect the dots from your land approval in the app, real simple, Tesla style. Boom, you get approved. Loan gets approved. You connect your builder with local vendor, provides the materials, and then we're going to rent out your ADU with the property management company. So it's an all-in-one app, and we're going to take your mortgage, defer your payment with a second mortgage that's going to say, hey, you get a mortgage break for 6 months. And then in that 6 months, we're going to have a 60-day approval. We're working with the mayor now to get an approval to give us the ADU, and then boom, try to build it and give you your loan kicks in, but you get the rental to come back. So if you have a 3,500 mortgage right now, or 4,000, and then you end up getting this ADU, your new mortgage would be probably about 5,000, but you're getting 2,000 affordable rental for this that goes back, and you're going to pay less than what you were paying before. So we're hoping to solve a whole bunch of different issues. And the biggest one is permitting, being able to create its own little permit line to serve the emergency proclamation that came out a couple of years ago by the governor, which is we have a housing shortage, an inventory shortage. And so we're hoping to put and connect all these dots in the time of need to say, hey, we have a program and a team ready to serve this. Because what happened, back in 2015 till now, nobody was marketing, nobody was connecting the dots or trying to work together to make these ADUs work. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
Excellent. And not only that, it gets a product out to people so they can stay. It probably is a shortcut around permitting, which has been a big issue. I love the innovation there. As we kind of come to a close, Richie, I'd like to ask, what's the biggest, best lesson learned along the way? Whether it was advice, whether it was aha moments, what is that? You've got a background in faith, discipline, in athletics, in the military. And in all this time, there's got to be something that you're like, you know what? This has helped who built who I am. I learned this.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the journey is the number one thing I could preach to anybody. It's not saying don't put in the hard work, because diligence meets opportunity and it's what works. You got to put in the hard work, but you have to enjoy the journey. You got to understand the balance of life. Don't work so hard that you're missing, the whole point of all this. And so life is short, and we are sometimes engulfed in trying to change the world, but don't miss in while you're doing that, while you're pushing to do that, your wife's sitting right there on her computer, take moments to laugh and just appreciate. I call it mental pictures. I take mental pictures of the moment and just try to remember the journey. The journey is what it's all about at the end of the day. And so if I were to give anything to anybody, is make sure you get your good adequate sleep, your good balance of lifetime, and then work hard within the 8 hours or 10 hours that you put in. Don't scroll around on Instagram and get, sidetracked. But when you have that time, just steward it well and be diligent within it. And then make sure you have time for life, because that's the point. I've heard a 9-figure entrepreneur for a home we did said the most profound thing I ever heard is he's had the Ferraris, the mansion, 16,000 square foot home. He's had all the accolades. He sold his company for hundreds of millions. And he said, what he wanted this whole time was free. It's with his kids and stuff. And he has all this stuff, but it's just stuff, at the end of the day. And so, that really moved me to realize, don't chase the mountaintop, chase the plateau. So what the plateau is, where's your contentment level? Where are you happy? Where you feel like that's where you want to be. You don't need to go past it. Just because Instagram says go past it doesn't mean you need to go past it. If you could find your plateau of hey, this is my capacity of being happy and not overwork, that's it. You don't need any more. Some people's plateaus are different, different places on the mountain. You don't have to be on the mountaintop.
Well,
it's lonely up there.
It is lonely. And honestly, of all things, that pretty much teaches you how to be a builder of all things.
Come on.
Richie, I really appreciate your time with us here today. I encourage everyone to check out your podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Builder of All Things, as well as your book coming out. We'll have links in the comments below. But Richie, thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
Likewise. Such a great conversation, Cass. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. To watch more episodes of Influencing Entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Nexagy Education.